want to talk about another saying that I heard, and it goes like this: look for the pearl, not the grit. Now, that's pretty insightful, right? Because if you really think about that, right? So the grit inside of a pearl, right? The sand, the abrasiveness, right? Of sand. Once it gets inside the shell, over time, it creates this pearl, which is valuable. It's a beautiful pearl, and that pearl turns out to be valuable, right? And why that's impactful and why that's relevant, because if you really attribute that to life and just kind of really put your mind to how that applies, you start to realize that all these things that you go through life, like you're the pearl at the end of the day, at the end of what you aspire to be, is ultimately that pearl, right? And the course of life is the sand. So that sand, that abrasiveness, all those things that you come in contact with, all those brick walls that you hit, all those things that feel like there's such an obstacle in life, that's the grit, that's the sand, right? That's the sand that's kind of turning you into this pearl for you to ultimately be this beautiful object of value, right? And you know, just thinking about that and just thinking about all these hard times that you've had in your life, you've gotten through them. You've had those chances where you had those instances where you were just like, my God, how am I going to get through this? My God, this is impossible. What am I going to do? I'll never see the end of this. But guess what? You got through it. You got to the end of it. And you have been that much better after that. And for every time that that happens, you always come out on the other side of it just a little bit better, just a little bit more refined, just a little bit more pearl-like. You know what I'm saying? And it's just really like, it's really crazy. Like when you start to think about stuff like that and just kind of let those sayings, I don't know if that's an age thing or if it's just where I'm at in life. Again, just me trying to find the center, the core of who I want to be, and just having these things just hit me in ways and hit me it's just impactful in the ways that they hit me, right? And it could be age, it could be my journey, it could be my path, it could just be where my mind is, and what I tend to try to do is I fill my social media up with all kinds of things like that, whether they're sayings, whether they're Buddhist sayings, Bible passages, whatever it is, things to just basically refine that pearl, right? Thinking about all the things that I've had gone through in life that, some disastrous, some okay, some happy, all these different variables in life that create this pearl, that create this value, that creates this life of value. Because again, it's not just valuable for you. You could be of value to someone else. Your life experiences are what you can apply to someone else's experience that may be going through something similar, right? Or someone that needs some advice or an ear, right? Though, again, you're becoming that pearl, not just for yourself, but for others, whether it be your spouse, whether it be your children, whether it be a coworker, whether it be a friend. And you being that pearl is refining them to be a pearl themselves. So again, just like, don't look for the grit, look for the pearl. And even with that, even if you spin that, thinking of it this way, instead of looking at the grit of a person, instead of looking at all the attributes of a person that makes them, I don't know, negative or whatever you want to talk or whatever you want to call it, or judgmental, right? So instead of you just being so judgmental of that person about their grit, look for the pearl. Look for the pearl that's inside that grit. Because again, they're just showing you where they are in their life. They're just showing you the grit in their life. They're showing you the spot that they're in, and they're speaking from that spot. But I bet you behind that grit, there's a pearl that's waiting to be born, that's waiting to be refined, that's waiting to show its value. Again, there's some people that are just sand, right? They're just abrasive. You'll run into those. There's all kinds, and that's what makes people so beautiful, right? There are people that are just abrasive. There's people that are kind. There's people they're not so kind and mean and angry or whatever it is. There's all these different types of characters, and that's what makes people so amazing. that there's so many different types, and every single one of those contributes to the world that you're in. Every single one of those is a projection of the world that they're in, and they're just experiencing life differently. They're in the same place, but what they're experiencing is different from you, right? And again, just thinking about those things, and look for the pearl, not the grit. Give that person the chance to really show you who they are. Let them know, let them give you the opportunity, if they're to show you if they're legitimately sand, or if it's just they're abrasive because of certain circumstances, and there's actually a pearl behind there, right? There's actually a pearl waiting to be seen, you know, to be held, to be valued. Because that's another thing too. Like, once someone knows that they're going to be valued, that pearl shows up, because that's all they want, right? They want to know that they're of value, not just to themselves, to someone else, you know. And it really depends. Some people always tell you, I don't seek validation from others. I'm self-validating, and that's cool. Be the pearl for yourself. But there's nothing more. What's the word I'm looking for? There's nothing more like powerful than to know that you're of value to someone else, and that person took that value and used it. That it made a difference in their life. That's empowering. That's the word I was looking for. That's empowering, to know that the value that you have, the pearl that you are, you gave that value to someone else, and you had them have the ability to become a pearl as well. So again, look for the grit. Look for the pearl, not the grit. Sorry, I ruined that one, right? I had a moment of just like, bam, nail it home, and I ruined it. Look for the pearl, not the grit. So anyway, that's all I got. Do what you do it well, do it the best way you know how. Jay Cotto, I'm out. Peace.